Well, a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you might be in the world. Today here in Perth, it's a beautiful sunny day with blue skies, um, which is just so welcome because we had so much rain. Anyway, before I get into today's video, we've got a bit of ground to cover, and that's because I've had an inquiry through my contact form on the website asking me about the numerology. So I'm going to speak specifically to some numerology content and expand upon that with today's video as well. Just a little bit of fair warning, I'm not 100% well today, so my apologies for that if I sound a bit bleh. That's what it's about. I'll do my best, okay? Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope genuinely, sincerely, that life is treating you well and that you're managing to navigate emotionally a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world at the moment, which I think is unsettling for all of us. And it's a sense of frustration for me that I haven't been able to do all the tasks that I wanted to do this week. But anyway, I'm going to jump straight in with the content and just say, look, I do go down a rabbit warren. Rule of thumb, I normally do. I've got timing stamps in the description if you just want to jump on to the specific content of interest to you. So onwards and upwards. Thank you. So normally I would make comments about my new purchases further down in the Crystal Magic content, but I decided today, because I've actually already loaded the BumblebeeJasper video, that I would make mention here in this Sunday yarning about my purchase. So here you can see BumblebeeJasper. This is what I was looking at when I was doing the transcript for the video. I thought, I really would like to have a piece of this because it's such an interesting looking crystal. So I ordered some. So you can imagine, here we are. This is what I've looked at when I've made my purchase. It said only one piece left. I thought, yay, I'll get the last piece, as you do. It was fairly cheap, I might add. And this is what I received. So as you can see, it looks nothing like what's in the other photograph. I've actually discussed all of this in the BumblebeeJasper video so that you can get a deeper explanation of my disappointment with the whole BumblebeeJasper, why I wouldn't recommend it, why I will never use it, and in fact why I have actually got rid of my piece that thankfully I didn't pay too much for, but it's just not something I want to have as part of my collection. And you can watch that BumblebeeJasper video to get more of an idea about it. Now I'm actually going to talk about the response I've got to the questions about building out your pyramids and for numerology and how to do the peaks and to make a little bit more sense of it, I hope. So potentially because I'm a little bit unwell at the moment, I struggled to really understand what it was that the person was asking or saying that they couldn't understand. It was like, how do you get the numbers in the middle of the pyramids? That was the question. I don't understand, they said. I don't understand how you get the numbers in the middle of the pyramid. Well, so I'm going to break it down here and I'll try and be quick with it because you can always flick back and look at it, okay? When it comes to numerology, everything is about calculations. And so what I've got on this slide is what the pyramid looks like, how you actually build the numbers together, and how you come to the peak. So the first thing is, obviously, we've got to have a birth date. I've put a couple here. I'm going to do the pyramids for each of those, and I'm going to break it down, okay? So we've got... before you can do a pyramid, just so you know, you've got to know the ruling number because that is going to fill out and bump up the numbers that are in the center of the pyramid. Okay, so 26th of January 1990 is one that I'm going to go for. Same with 6th of May 1991, 22nd of April 1993, and the 2nd of February 2012. My dog's just decided to play with his squeaky toy. If you can hear it, that's what's going on. He's doing zoomies through the house. So as with everything, you've got to find your own way of having a method and a sense of order there so that you can actually have accuracy with your reports. So for me, what I do is... and the most important thing is when you're doing the pyramids, you've actually got to have the ruling number and you've got to have it correct, okay? So I have my own table. I've created one that I refer back to when I'm doing numerology reports, and I have the age at each peak. So a person who is a ruling number 2 is going to have their first peak at age 34, the second one at age 43, third one at age 52, fourth one at age 61, and this is because there's 9-year cycles, okay? So what we've got here, you can always copy this chart if you like, do a screenshot of it, but this is the ages of the peaks for all of the ruling numbers. Now, one thing you'll notice here when it comes to the peaks is that where in other aspects of numerology we reduce it down to a single digit, when it comes to the peaks, we do include a ruling number of 10, 11, and in fact 22 has got importance as well. So when we look at the birth date of the 26th of January 1990, we can tell straight off the bat that we're looking at a ruling number of 10, and this is because we add all the numbers together. Some people may know this, others may not. So it becomes 2 plus 6 plus 1, January being the first month, plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 0 equals 28, which comes down, reduced down to the number 10. So we're looking at a ruling number of 10. Now we know from looking at the previous chart that their first peak is going to occur when they're 26 years old, the second one when they're 35, the third one when they're 44, and the fifth one, did I get that right? The fourth peak at age 53. And from there we can do our first calculation, okay? We can work out the year that they're going to turn 26, 35, 44, 53. And you can see that I have put the actual year here in the brackets, and then I have converted it over onto my pyramid. So peak 1 is the light blue, peak 2 is the dark blue. This is my graphic. This is just how I do it for you guys on the videos. I don't worry about using colours when I'm doing them myself. I can just do them in a blue pen on a piece of paper. But this is to try and make it clear to you. So for your sake and for imagery, peak 1 is light blue, peak 2 is dark blue, peak 3 is the white, and peak 4 is the black. So the person who is born on the 26th of January is going to, or would have experienced their first peak in 2016 when they were aged 26. The next peak, they're actually in a current peak this year, 2025. Then they will have another peak in 2034 at the age of 44. And their final peak will be in 2043 when they turn 53. Okay, so where we go from there now, we actually know the years that's coming. And so, of course, the question is, well, what is the peak? What does it mean? Okay, so let's now work that out. Let's calculate it. Now, obviously, when I'm doing the reports myself, I don't keep that MMDDYY bit down. That's just there to help you identify where you should be putting the numbers so that you can add them together. So, obviously, the left-hand corner of that inner triangle is the month, the total sum of the month. So, this person's born in January, so it's going to be a 1. But if they were born in December, you would add 1 plus 2, which would equal 3. So for this graphic, we're looking at a month number of 1 being the first month. They were born on the 26th, so that is the day, the DD number that I've got there. I put in the DD because it might be 2 digits, it might be 1. You know, the person is born on the 26th, so we add 2 plus 6 equals 8. Their day number is 8. And then their year number, which is the YY on the right-hand corner, that is the sum of 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 0. We have 10 plus 9 equals 19. We add the 1 plus 9 together and we bring it down to the number 10, which of course reduces down to the number 1 for the base of this triangle. So when we look across the base of the triangle now, you can see I've highlighted in pink 1, 8, 1. Okay, now we can start building the peak numbers. So to get to the peak, the first peak, we add the month and the day number together. So we do 8 plus 1 equals 9. So in the light blue triangle, I've inserted the pink 9. When we're looking at the second peak, it is the day plus, hang on, let me check my notes. I had a mind blank there. It is the day plus the year, of course. I've put it there, the D plus Y. So 8 plus 1 equals 9. So this person has got a very interesting pyramid in as far as the peaks that they have, because the next peak is the sum of peak 1 and peak 2 together. So we're looking here at 9 plus 9 gives you an 18. So then you reduce that down to the single digit. 18 is 1 plus 8 equals 9. So we're now looking at the first 3 peaks are all 9s. And then that final peak is the sum of the month and the year. So we're looking then at 1, we go back down to the bottom row of the inner pyramid, and we add the month to the year. So we go 1 plus 1 equals 2. So their final peak in 2043 is going to be a 2. Now, if I was to just do a basic analysis here, I would just go, this is a really interesting pyramid in as far as 9s are endings, and with every ending and finality there becomes a new beginning. So this person's life path is going to have major new beginnings every 9 years for at least the first part of their life, and then by the time they get to age 53, I beg your pardon, in 2043, they are then in a position where they're going to have more choices and decisions to make. It's actually, I consider this to be quite an interesting one, and I may as well be a little bit, I'll disclose here, I know the person. I use this date because I know the person very well, and I actually know that this year, when it comes to endings, this person is having their last child. They're in what is called a geriatric pregnancy, having an unexpected child that is due about September, I think. So there you go. So that's just in itself, just that little bit of information shows we've got an ending there, ending of family, as far as there's not going to be any more children. And then there is the new life that's coming in. So a whole new stage and a whole new beginning for 2026. I get so frustrated at myself when I record a slide and then I find that I must have deleted it before saving it or something like that. But either way, when we look at this slide here, what we're looking at is, once again, the way I've calculated it with the January birth date, where I've worked out the person's age based on the ruling number, and then I've worked out what year the person will be turning that age, and then I have filled in the gaps down the bottom. The month, date, year, added it together. Now, at this point, I want to recommend that if you're interested in this kind of stuff, that you actually need to watch the video on the pyramids and peaks. And this is because where we don't normally talk about a ruling number of, say, 10 or 11 or 22, and certainly when it comes to the pyramids, it's different, okay? We do actually include those ruling numbers, which are power numbers, the master numbers, on the higher peaks, not the lower peaks, not that peak 1 and peak 2. As you see on this image here, this person's got an 11, which is a master number, but that becomes reduced down to a 2 because it's in the peak 1. If it were in peak 4, it would remain 11, but it's not. It's in peak 1. So when we look at peak 3 for this person, which is in 2041, when they turn 50, they're going to be in a peak year of a 10. So the 10 has relevance there. And to find out what these numbers mean, you would actually just go back to the base ruling number content, because I probably should have mentioned this earlier. Because how am I going to phrase this? Because when it comes to the ruling numbers, when we have personal years, they carry the same vibration as the ruling numbers, but it's called a temporary vibration. So it's not quite as strong, but it still carries the same energy, if that makes sense. Now, with this one, of course, this is another birth date, and I've just done it. I've just put it together, and rather than run through it with you, if you're that interested, I suggest that you flick back and forth to the actual slides so that it can really hammer home, you know what I mean? And do your own pyramids and do them for your children and your family, just to get the swing of it and just to see if you're calculating them right, and then go and do your interpretations. It's just a really interesting activity to do for family members. This one here, you can actually see that this person has come in with a lot of personal power, in as far as manifesting, they would be a worker. Anything associated with the 8 is somebody that's not necessarily out there to have it all handed to them on a platter. They'll work for it. They like the money, they like the material aspect of having wealth and abundance, but they're not afraid to get their hands dirty and get out there and get it done themselves. So to me, it appears to me that this person's coming into a peak year next year, so there's got to be financial success for that person there, and paying off for their hard efforts and that to date. And then in 2035 there will probably be a compounding of their hard work and efforts. Now, it might not all be money, by the way. They might decide to step into the metaphysical, or to expand their knowledge, or to become an expert in some field. That might be what they're looking to do as well. By 2053 they're on another cycle. I would imagine actually by the time they get into the final pyramid in 2053 that they're probably more humanitarian oriented. I think that's up there as an option. So I hope those slides on numerology and the pyramids answered the question for Joe, actually was his name if I recall correctly. I hope that's explained it more clearly to him. For now though, I'm going to talk about the web development, because I certainly haven't done as much as I would have liked to. I have done a little bit, but I don't think I've published it yet, only because the pages are a bit tacky. I just would like to get those pages finished and complete before I publish them. And because obviously I've had a couple of health issues this week, I've been a bit slower, which is unfortunate, and I'm sorry about that. That's the sense of frustration that I have. Because the world is in turmoil at the moment, I wanted to make sure that I put up the content on spiritual hygiene and how to remain upbeat and positive during trying circumstances, That's still on the radar. It is happening. Just not as quickly as I would like them to, that's all. But I have definitely started on all of them here. Some I've finished. I've finished the sacred breathing, but I don't think I've published it. I haven't done the shielding of the aura, and I have started to put up the spiritual hygiene content, as well as centering and grounding activities and protecting and shielding the aura, but it's just not ready to be published yet. So the chakra system has kind of reached a standstill at the moment. I'm still working on that content. It won't take me long to finish it. I don't know why I'm taking so long. It must be because I'm not feeling 100% well, but there is definitely other content that's going to be loaded in regard to that. Just a reminder that we've got the local community event, the Tarot and Crystal Night, down here at Mount Lawley, on July the 9th. So if you would like to come along, please just, the tickets are free, but just go and book a seat on Eventbrite. I think at the moment we probably should be all right if there's people that just show up as well, just so you know. So speaking of the event, I often get asked by people when they arrive how I do tarot, and basically to teach tarot and what they might need to do when they've bought a tarot deck and that kind of stuff. So what I'm in the process of doing is actually I'm going to create a new tarot playlist, and I'm going to load. So in regard to Crystal Magic update, yes, I have put in an order. I'm expecting some more crystals to arrive. Crystals that are on the way is going to include some celestite. I've got some really nice celestite from Madagascar arriving. I also have some moonstone towers, I think it is, along with a couple of other ones that I can't recall exactly what they are right now. So next week the intention is that I load the video on watermelon Tourmaline on Tuesday, but be aware I may actually change that around. I loaded that one, but I do recommend that if you want to know about watermelon Tourmaline, you probably need to look at green Tourmaline and pink Tourmaline videos as well, and they've already been loaded. The other video that is going up next week is BumblebeeJasper. Now, I've actually done more of the Next week, we are going to be looking at Trolleite. I haven't started putting this video together yet. I actually don't even have a piece of it, but I'm certainly considering buying it. It looks like a very interesting crystal, and I have no doubt that it's going to be really good for things such as the third eye and the throat chakra. And at the moment, my plans include to publish a video on Yooperlite next week. I may or may not change my mind on that. We'll wait and see. It could be a surprise. For now, though, I'm going to say thank you very much for being part of my journey. If you want to reach out to me, the contact form on the website is actually working. If there's specific questions that you want to ask, you can send it through there. For today, though, I think I'm actually probably going to head back to bed in a minute because I'm actually starting to feel a little unwell. Anyway, hopefully I'll be over it really quick and I'll be able to get back onto the content and get things up for you. If there's anything that you found of value, please do. I would appreciate if you gave us a thumbs up. I'd appreciate even more if you made comments and asked questions. I would love that. But for now, I'm going to say, look, have a blessed day, blessed week. Take care. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye for now.